Hello, my darlings. Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm not sure. Chris was here a second ago and now he's disappeared. So I'm not actually sure. He'll be reconnecting in a moment, but his device has fallen off. So I'm hoping you're very well because we are here to do pick a card. And when Chris is here, he's going to shuffle a card, shuffle a deck, pick a card. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be looking at different versions of it. And just discussing different versions of the card. So hopefully he'll get a reconnection. He literally just went dead a few seconds ago. I said no connection, but don't worry. I'm sure he will reconnect. Something's gone, some gremlins in the work already. Let's see who's here while we're waiting for Chris to rejoin us. Patrice is here. Hello, my darling. I'm here with my granddaughter, Hannah, and we're sending love to you both. That is divine. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. I'm just having a check around there. Let's see. No, still no sign of him, but that's okay. Thank you, Patrice, for being here. I hope you are really well. Red Wing is here. Hello to you, my darling. I hope you are really, really well. And Gerald is here. Howdy, Chris and Rich, and all in chat. Thank you, my lovely. I'm very pleased that you're here. Pia is here. Hello to you, Pia. Welcome, welcome. And just catching up. Who else we've got? Patrice says hello to everybody. And hello, Hannah. I should have said hello, Hannah. Welcome, welcome. It's lovely to see you here. Here we go. My camera's crashed, darlings. He's going to be back shortly. I hope so, because I'm going to be doing this on my own if not, but never mind. It's what happens, isn't it? So, he'll be here shortly. Vanessa is here. Hello, Vanessa. Lovely to see you here. Hope you are very, very well. Just have a swig of tea. Jackie is here. Hello, Jackie Crystal Moon. Good to see you here. I hope you're doing very well. And Kathy is also here. Happy Friday to you, Kathy. Thank you for joining us here. Heather is here. Hello, Heather. Good to see you here. And who else is here? I think that's everybody. And look who else is also here. He's here.
John, my damn webcam crashed and I've had to come in on the phone, so apologies.
Oh, are you okay? Do you need a few moments to put
No. I think I've got a problem with the cam itself, so I'm just gonna now I'm here, I'm just gonna play safe. So as long as you can see me and hear me, is that all right?
I can hear you fine. Everyone else can hear you fine. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Do you know what? That was so weird because it literally went just as the countdown kicked in.
I know.
We had a lovely chat, and then it went.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I know, because we've had some gremlins my end as well. So it was like, oh, but
never mind.
You're here now, and we can hear you, and you're looking lovely. So
fabulous.
And, everyone's saying hi, Chris. Hello to anyone else that's in chat, not commenting but watching us on catch up or playback, I suppose we should call it.
Right.
Welcome, Chris.
You're gonna have to read chat out to me because I can't see it.
Fine, I will master the chat. Don't.
Oh, thanks. Hi to everyone anyway. Even if I can't see you in chat, I'm still here and Richie will translate for me.
And Jackie's got the reason. Mercury retrograde.
Yes.
Well, if that's the worst it can do, then do you know what? That's fine.
Well, it shut me up. A lot of people saying that'd be the best it could do.
How are you, my darling? Apart from needing new computer cameras and stuff like that.
Needing new computer cameras, I'm good. I've kind of a lot of people have noticed I haven't been very present on YouTube over the last couple of months, but I had a family bereavement and I'm now become a full-time carer, so I'm kind of juggling sort of everything with family commitments and caring commitments, but on the whole managing quite well at this stage, and it's actually just lovely to be back and to be doing this. So
it's been ages since we had a
isn't it just it's a long time since we've been able to do this, so yeah, I'm really thrilled.
So, and that's the point of tonight. We're going to have a catch up. We're going to have a chat, find out what's been happening. But we're also going to be pulling a card. And so that's what pick a card, also known as why didn't I put my decks in order beforehand?
Oh, don't. Because I've just been looking. I've got I've got at least 3 decks out of order here. So
all of mine are out of order, so you're just going to hear me going next time. And I say it every time, and then I never do. So,
well, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to the first deck we use, I'm going to pick one of the ones that's in order. And if you can see shuffling going on, it's because I'm actually sort of putting one of the others back in order, or trying to while we're talking. So,
well,
yeah,
exactly. If you see me looking at the chat or looking down, I'm desperately trying to find the one card that we're looking for, which is normally either the last card in the deck or it's the third card, and you've just gone over it quite quickly. So there we go.
Do you know, I think I'm going to give up gracefully, because I've just filled my desk with cards, and I've realised that actually I now sort of will have to dump cards all over the place just to get to a deck that's in order. So should we? I'll just do the kind of awkward shuffling through the deck thing.
Absolutely. Just going to say hello to a few more people while you have a quick shuffle there. Urshie's here. Hello, my lovely. Good to see you here.
Hi, Urshie.
Gerald says, I wasn't going to ask that question. It's going to be a statement. Like, we should put a hashtag on this. Hashtag, why didn't I put my decks in order before? Lisa, good to see you here as well. And hello to everyone else joining us there. So, have you got a deck there that we're going to be pulling from? Your choice there, or
should I just pick a nice one to start with?
Pick a nice one, and then I'm going to show the RWS original version of it, not the original one, because I don't know the original one. But you pick a card, and I've got my list because lots of people have done this before in the past. So, for example, if you pick the 10 of Wands, or she and I have already done that, you can stick with it, or we can pick another. We're not doing readings, so you can put them back in the deck. So there you go. So, actually, do you know what I'm going to start with? I'm going to start with one of my out of order ones, because I'm loving this at the moment. I've just got this, and it's what's so lovely. It's doubly nice because I was watching this deck take shape before it was started and before it was published. And this is from my dear friend Andrea Aste, and this is the book Shadows. Yes. And I finally got my copy, and I'm loving working with this. I've got a dear friend, my dear mate Sheila, is actually coveting my deck. Every time I do a Skype with her, she's kind of saying that if I die, can I just leave her this deck? And actually, I can see why, because it's just I was very excited watching this take shape. Andrea is an absolute genius, and now I've actually got it. I'm loving reading with it, and it's such a quirky, humorous but really profound deck, complete with a graphic novel. So I haven't read the graphic novel yet.
Yeah, I've not had a chance to read it yet, but I've kind of dabbled into it, and it's typical Andrea. It is just a work of genius.
How long has the deck been in process or progress? Because it was launched on Kickstarter last year, wasn't it?
Last year. It was, I mean, he'd been working on it for, I mean, I was chatting to him about 6 months before he even launched it. And it was nice because I was getting sneak previews. And, you know, it was when he told me what he was doing, because, I mean, he's, you know, Andrea is a traditional Italian boy. He loves his pip decks because, of course, you know, coming from that Italian tradition, you know, that's what he really does well. And, you know, he's done, you know, he did an earlier version of the Book of Shadows in 2010, which I took part in the mock documentary that was part of that. And then he also did that amazing Light and Shadow deck for Watkins with John Matthews a couple of years ago. Again, just an incredible pip deck. So when he said he was basically revisiting the concept of the Book of Shadows, but going full color and RWS, I'm thinking, oh yes, heaven's come early. Christmas has come early. He's pulled the genie out the bag. It's everything I love about his totally individual style of work, but you know, going full color just brings out another amazing dimension. It is so gorgeous. Oh right, that's the card we weren't going to mention, isn't it?
Yeah, we were talking before going three. Let's hope it's not the Three of Swords, because how many decks can we show with a heart with 3 swords?
I know. So if that gets picked out, I'll just kind of quietly shuffle it back in and pretend I didn't pick it.
Anyone, just pick another one.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm loving this deck. So what do you want me to? Should I just pick at random?
Give them a shuffle and pick one out, and let's see what happens, shall we?
Okay, let's see what we get.
The backs of those are gorgeous, and if it's anything like mine, it's really smooth to shuffle.
It's beautifully smooth. They glide. It's a hefty, thick deck. The cards are very durable, but they shuffle like a dream.
You're right, Jackie. The colours are amazing.
Don't the colours pop? You know.
Hello, Duncan. Good to see you here. And Naruto, hello to you. And Regina, who's lurking. Lovely to see you.
Oh, fabulous. Hi to everyone. Okay, right. I'm going to cut the deck.
Okay, drum roll.
And we have, the Empress.
Oh, now that's really weird. I'll tell you why that's weird. Is that today I was thinking, I bet it's the Empress. And literally about 2 minutes before we went on, I'm thinking Empress.
Really? Oh, that's weird.
Hold it up. Can you hold it up, Chris? So we
There
can
we go.
There we go. That's just gorgeous, isn't it?
What I love about what he's done with this deck is it's kind of very inclusive. So, these are not just white faces. We've got this glorious Black Empress. But it's also it's typical Andrea stylistically, but I love the way even in a sort of Waitsmith based deck, he's kind of harked back to the Marseille tradition in the symbolism. So you've got all of the you've got the lush greenery, and the kind of fertility hinted at that you get in the Waitsmith, but also I love the fact that you've got the eagle on the shield, and she is that kind of regal Marseille type of empress as well. Yes. But then she's tribal, she's and lush,
It's almost like stained glass, the colours in that card, isn't it? It's so rich, particularly the throne she's sitting on, just coming across as this gorgeous orangey gold stone chair.
I remember discussing this with him in the early days, and he kind of did cite that he wanted these to pop like stained glass, and he's really achieved it.
I think he certainly has. It's beautiful. Is there any chance you could hold it a little nearer to the camera? I don't know what. I know you're on your phone. People can see it there.
Is that okay? It's a little bit dark, I'm afraid. But
it's dark, but we're managing. It's fine. Thank you, Chris. Okay. I think what's important about the Empress is, regardless of how long you've been studying the tarot, the image of the Empress is kind of impressed on your own mind. If I hold up this card, which is the original RWS version, instantly what she's doing.
Wrong way round, love.
Yes, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the RWS Empress doing? Can you remember?
What can I remember? She's sitting there heavily pregnant.
Yeah. What's she wearing?
She's covered in half-eaten pomegranates embroidered all over her dress. I just think it's a really clever card because it's the pomegranate being the symbol of fertility, and she's she's got all those amazing split pomegranates all over her dress, and that crown of 12 stars for the sign of the zodiac, linking it to the the wheel of the year. And I love that also, that the addition of Venus on the shield, whereas you've got the the eagle of authority that you can see here from the Marseille tradition, Waite and Smith linked it to Venus, so you've got that it's immensely feminine, immensely fertile, but at the same time powerful and wild and unpredictable. The wheel of the year on her head, beautiful card.
Instantly, I can picture the Empress. I have trouble with some of the other cards, but
the
Empress just is so memorable and so gorgeous. Interestingly, what you said, I'm just going back because a lot of people, particularly nowadays, often in conversation about whether they feel the Empress should be pregnant or how she's represented as pregnant in the deck. What's your thoughts about that one?
I love it. I've kind of played around with it. I don't think it's an essential. When I did the Healing Light Tarot, I kind of went more Marseille to some extent with the Empress because she wasn't pregnant. She's very sinuously feminine. I made my Queen of Pentacles pregnant, and I think it's a symbolism that fits both. but it's not the be all and end all of both. But to me, it's just one way of actually expressing her connection to nature and the cycles of life. I mean, it's interesting. While we were talking, I was just rummaging through one of my other decks because I'm going to be working with the Shaman Caselli deck while we're here as well. And I'm just going to hold this Empress up, and let me just see if I can re-angle my camera. That's better. How's that? If I hold that up there. But you see, she's not as obviously pregnant, but I think I love this because it kind of takes that sort of fertility and harvest concept of the Waite Smith one step further, you know, because you see the Empress surrounded by sheaves of wheat and fruit, and, you know, she's got the pomegranates on her dress. But yeah, I think the sort of pregnancy, I don't think it's an essential part of the Empress's symbolism, but it is one way of expressing what she's about.
You're getting quite a bit of feedback there, Chris. I'm not sure.
Are we?
You
right, hang on.
That's fine. We were losing you towards the end.
Is that any better?
For a moment there.
Yeah, is that any better?
Fine, much better. Thank
right,
you.
It was. I had my fan on, so it's. I think that's what was. Normally, when my webcam, which should be working and now isn't, is behaving, the fan doesn't affect it, but the obviously with the phone it does. So yeah.
Lovely.
But so enough of my rambling anyway.
No, Pia's got a question actually. The deck that the Andrew Caselli, can you mind just showing the title and the box again?
Yes.
Where you can get it from.
Now you can actually you can get this from andreaaste.com. So let me just hold this up. It comes with a hardback graphic novel. So I think what we'll do is later, after we've done this, maybe we can put all these links in the description for everyone. So you can see, here's the graphic novel, here's the box.
Yep.
And as I say, available from Andrea's website. So www.andreaaste, all one word, .co.uk, not .com, sorry, that was my mistake. So yeah, it's an absolute treasure. To me, this is kind of one of the most exciting decks that I've seen over the last couple of years. And I kind of know it's an exciting deck when my best friends are saying, we don't wish you to snuff it yet, but please leave me this deck in your will when you do. So, you know, nobody's ever said that about one of my decks. So that kind of says a lot about the quality of Andrea's work. It's wonderful. But yeah,
thank you for that one. Calla says, hi, Chris. Hi, Richie. Prego or not Prego, the Empress is life either way. Absolutely. I love that one. Right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start looking through some of the many decks. And don't worry, those people, I've got the White Fly and I've got the Labanco, because we always know that we get an excitement out of those ones. We're going to start to go through our cards now to try and find the Empress there. And this is when we have our chat, Chris, so that we're going to do, we're multitasking now.
Fabulous.
Oh, look, Maruta's been very kind and she's put the link in there for the deck. Thank you into the chat. So that's really kind. And I'm going to start off, Chris, okay, by saying you've been quite busy in the last couple of weeks, haven't you, with a certain conference?
I have, yeah, and I had the time of my life. The only problem when you're doing a conference is that you kind of wish it lasted more than 36 hours. Yes. But yeah, I've had a lovely time because TABI, the Tarot Association of the British Isles, very, very generously asked me would I present at their annual conference. Yes. And I gave a presentation called Tarot and the Mandala, which is basically, I wanted to talk about just the really powerful healing potential of the tarot, because my own experience has taught me that if you work with tarot, with any level of depth, you don't come away from it unchanged. And in my case, one of the reasons I wanted to make a full presentation about this is because, literally back in my 30s, the tarot literally saved my life. I was going through one of the darkest periods of my life. Yeah. And, basically I went through a series of therapy sessions with the NHS, which inevitably you get 10 therapy sessions. And then it comes to an end. And my therapist was fantastic, but I was very, very much aware that there was a lot of unfinished business. And working with the tarot literally got me through that unfinished business. But also I can say that I've processed a lot of all of my self-acceptance issues through working with the tarot, and a lot of my trauma issues as well. So it was great because Janine Worthington, who we've done YouTube with him, she's currently the chairman of Tabby. So of course Janine had said to me, how do you fancy presenting for us? And I thought, well, let's send her my outline and see whether she kind of withers, because I thought she was just we can't do, that's kind of, that's a bit much. And she was just really, really excited about it. And what I was really thrilled with was, I think it's kind of a measure of Janine's ambition for Tabby, but also the measure of Tabby itself, and just as an organization, really how seriously it takes things. Every single one of the presentations that was given kind of went really deep and really serious, but in a fun way, and in a way that, I didn't want to leave. And then to cap it all, the final speaker was Russell Grant, and he gave this amazing, because you don't think of Russell Grant as a tarot reader. We think of him as an astrologer, because what I didn't realize until he started giving his presentation was he'd been a professional tarot reader for years before he became a professional TV astrologer. Wow. And God, does he know his stuff. He really knows his stuff.
Explain who Russell Grant is for people who don't know from the UK. So
if you're not from the UK, Russell Grant is probably the UK's best known TV astrologer, and he came to sort of prominence in the 90s, didn't he? I think was it on breakfast television?
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah. And he is the loveliest, sweetest guy you could imagine. I didn't know what to expect.
No.
Because with him being such a big name in the UK, I didn't know what he was going to be like, how personable he would be. And he was just amazing. And he kind of had the whole room in the palm of his hand from the minute he started presenting to the minute he stopped. And because he's done a tarot deck, he's done a deck called the Russell Grant Astro Tarot, which is a really clever combination of astrology and tarot. Yeah. So all of the minor arcana are astrology archetypes. And he basically gave us a guided tour through that deck. But also, peppered with his own story and his own journey with the tarot, which was fascinating. So we had an amazing presentation from Russell Grant, an equally amazing presentation from Kathleen Matthews, presenting her forthcoming book, which is all about bringing divination back into the heart of the community. Yeah. There was my presentation on the healing power of tarot. Kellyanne Maddox gave the best sledgehammer tarot presentation that I could have ever wished for, because she kind of got right to the heart of one of my tarot phobias. And when you're kind of in denial about you have a bad relationship with certain cards, and you think, I don't have a problem with that. And Kelly's presentation was awesome, because she was like, look, right, let's get up close and personal with these cards. Wow. And
that's what's great about a conference in many ways, is that you have fun and you get to meet people, but quite often you may just take home a few bits and pieces of knowledge. It sounds like that was really a full.
This was amazing. Every single person presenting just brought something mind-blowing. Neil and Andrea did an amazing presentation on the Friday night, and they were talking about obviously their work together, Neil Kelso and Andrea Aste, and also talking about this deck. But every single person who presented was just wonderful. So I had a blast. And
where did you present? What time in the conference? What day was it on?
First up, Saturday morning. And I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep very well. I don't know what it was. There must have been some hex on the rooms, because I ended up going down to breakfast at 20 to 7 in the morning, because I hadn't slept, and I woke up. I'd woken up at 5:15. And then when I got downstairs into the breakfast hall, there's Janine, there's Kathleen Matthews, there's Andrea, and they all said we didn't sleep. So of course half of us were like having, matches propping her eyes open, and I was kind of first on. So
well, I suppose that's good. It's a bit like having to make a wedding speech, get it done and out the way, and you can enjoy the rest of the day. Many things. It's not so much nicer.
I kind of just apologized to Kathleen in advance. I said, if I fall asleep in the middle of your presentation, it's not you. It's got more to do with my lack of sleep. Because we were sat at the same table, and anyone who's ever shared a table with that woman at conference will know that she is just the most wickedly funny person in an understated way. So it's like if you're sat at a table with Kathleen Matthews at a conference, it kind of becomes the de facto crocheting circle. And
is it the naughty table then?
It's the naughty table, yeah. So, the problem is by day 2, there was me, there was Andrea, and there was Kathleen Matthews, and we're all on the same table. And it was just, it was kind of like the divination delinquents table in the best possible way. I loved it.
That sounds wonderful. I think it's very brave. Bearing in mind I'm a teacher, I hate doing public talking to adults. I'm fine with children, and I can stand on stage and do acting, but I can't talk to a room full of adults. It absolutely scares the life.
But you see, in a situation like that, I think you would be fine, because everybody in a room like that is batting with you.
Yeah.
And that's, once you realize that, everybody is there, but we're all there because we've got this amazing shared passion, and everybody is there to support you. So you go up there. If you're nervous, what was so lovely, I mean, there's me absolutely bricking it, because I'm thinking, I've got an hour and 3/4 to fill here. And this is all, it's not brand new material, but it's sort of a brand new collation of material. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm trying this out because I kind of want to gauge people's response, because if the response is good, maybe I'll still start working this into a book. So I'm there, I'm absolutely bricking it. And then all of a sudden you look out and there's all of these smiling, encouraging faces. And then the penny drops that everybody is really pleased to see you, as they are everybody else who's going to be getting up, and they know that they're going to have fun. And you think to yourself, do you know what? If this goes a bit awry, we'll busk it. And I think that's the joy of a conference. You've got to be on the ball, and you've got to go in there having, knowing that you've got something that will hold water. But there's very few places like that where everyone is totally on your side, and I think that's what makes it lovely. It was actually my first Tabby conference, and it was.
Oh, was it?
Oh yeah. And it was, I'm actually going to give a special mention to the Oldham Tarot group here, because they all turned up en masse and they were just really lovely. So, I want the T-shirt, because they all had these fabulous T-shirts with different cards on the front. But when they turned round, they all had Oldham Tarot group in big letters across the backs of their T-shirts. I'm thinking, I'm digging this.
Coach then, do you reckon, together? That was
I don't know, but it was just so lovely, because I'm thinking, I want a group like that round here. We haven't got anything like that in Liverpool.
It'd be nice to have a big group of people to do tarot, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I think there was at least 7 or 8 of them. So I'm thinking, well, if there's 7 or 8 of them here, there must be more back in Oldham. I'm thinking, wow, could you imagine having a local tarot group like that? What a blast. Yeah. So yeah, they won brownie points. I want them to move to Liverpool,
I'm just going to say a quick hello to everybody. Loads of people in chat have joined us. Thank you so much. First time here, so you're very, very welcome. It's lovely having you here. Sonia, hello. I think I've said hello to you, but it's lovely. And she's subscribed to your channel there. Chris, that's very kind. Anyway, and she said, I'd fit right in with that table by the sound of it here. Regina, I did put this up earlier, said divination delinquent. Oh my God, that's difficult to say.
Divination delinquents
is your next punk band. I think that was supposed to say that. I'm not going to bother with that anymore. Hi Kelly, it's good to see you here. Hello to everybody that's joining us. That's lovely. Okay, so shall we continue to talk? But let's show some cards. So, shall I go first?
Go for it.
I've got a variety here.
Go on.
I don't quite know where to start. I'm going to start with the This Might Hurt tarot.
Oh, yeah. I like.
Quite an interesting take, because, as we said, she's got her pomegranate dress on.
Yeah.
She looks quite young. She's still got a starry crown on, but she's sitting on this tree stump, which has got the shield with the Venus sign carved into it there. And again, it's very country. It's very far. I'm not quite sure they're cornfields. No, there's not cornfields in there. So it's not quite. You do get the fact that she's country, but not necessarily harvest. She feels more like the goddess of nature here rather than the corn.
See, that to me, that's just equally valid, because I think for me, she is the power of nature. Yeah. I think one way to express it is the power of the harvest. And I think in the Mythic Tarot, that very much ties her into Demeter, doesn't it? You know, yes. But yeah, I mean, it's, for me, the harvest is just one part of that. And just as you were going through that, that reminded me to pick the Empress out in one of the decks I've chosen for a similar reason. So I'll show you in a minute. But I think that's beautiful. I don't know that deck very well. So that is really lovely.
This was gifted to me by Gerald I think it's my birthday. He bought it for me. It's now mass market, so you can get it now. It is much more available there, and I think the cardstock and everything is pretty much the same. And it's a wonderful modern deck, but it's got some twists in there that make you really rethink what you know. And I just like the fact that she looks very comfortable in nature. She's not in a throne. She's not got a scepter there. Yeah, it's almost like you've come across her in a glade, a bit like a forest fae or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, I kind of love just that kind of gives her a wildness. The fact that you have she is, you know, I think the older traditions do tend to sort of concentrate on their power aspects without really concentrating on that bigger archetypal aspect of her. But if you are thinking very much the wildness of nature, that really sums it up, doesn't it? And it's, that is a really beautiful rendition.
Yeah. What does the Empress mean to you? I mean, you've created 2-3 tarot decks now. What does the Empress, when you come to kind of think about it, what does she mean to you when you're creating?
For me, she's that natural life force. She's the kind of feminine energy of creation. The Emperor is the sort of the shaping and structuring aspect, whereas the Empress, for me, she's the raw matter and the potential, and she's the power of life. I mean, I suppose in a way, when I think about it, I mean, the Empress for me is life itself.
Life force.
It's the life force. That's the power. That whole power and process of evolution of life, going from single cell organisms to this rich diversity. Life sort of, growing, multiplying, evolving. For me, the Empress is the power behind anything green, anything organic, and that's not a benign force, But then the Empress for me is also Gaia. I mean, she's the power of the earth. So that doesn't just encompass the power of growth, that also encompasses the power of the weather, the power of storms, and also when you think of the power of a tree, its roots can crack rock open, and, roots can get into the tiniest chink of rock and then prise them over. All that sort of thing, to me, is the power of the Empress. So many things. Benevolent? I'm not so sure. Sometimes, but not always.
Only in the fact way that, as you just talked about, nature sort of breaking and all that. You can say, well, we've had really bad, look at floods and all the nasty things that are happening in the world weather-wise.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to understand it at the time, but sometimes that's a reset button or something that's going on.
That's the Empress. To me, that's the Empress kind of in her dark aspect. When Rich, just as we've been talking, I've tried going back into StreamYard on my proper camera. So I'm going to go in.
Okay.
And then if you'll let me in the studio, and then I will come off.
Okay. What I'll do is we'll have both. We'll have you twice, and then we'll get rid of the old one of you. Okay.
All right.
Thank you to everyone putting up comments. Oh, there he is.
There I am.
There he is.
I'm going to come out of this.
Fingers crossed. Keep
There we
your
are.
camera
How's
to
that?
hand just in case.
Let me just turn the volume up. Oh, fabulous!
Lovely.
See, I can see it when
It's great to
you
see
see it when you hold cards up at the screen now.
I'm just going to turn the sound up. You're a bit quiet. I've just got
Oh,
used to
okay. There we are. So,
lovely comments being made here. Beth says,
that's great.
Chris and Yin are part of the whole. Yeah.
Oh, I can see the comments now as well because I'm back on.
That's nice. And Amanda G says, yes, Gaia. Hello, Tristy Sushi. Good to see you here. And Beth says, because humans have lost the connection to the Empress. I think that is very true. Or perhaps rediscovering, I think.
Yeah. Gerald's just said that he likes the sound of having two of me on the screen. I don't know whether he's ready for that.
No one's ready for that. There he is, Huzzah. Thank you for trying, Chris, because I know it's nothing worse than when technology fails when you're doing a live and it's like,
if this microphone
put up with what I'm doing or give it a go. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're fine. If this microphone goes again, I'll just have to kind of go back in the phone. But fingers crossed.
Yeah, like Mother Nature. Going back to what we said, actually, it's a really interesting point about, you talked about environmental, and I think the Empress has particularly now taken on, perhaps more than any other tarot cards, has now taken on a bit more of a important role when we talk about environmental issues. And I think this card really does represent, thinking about the environment and all the things we're doing. And this card really speaks to me. And if this came up in a reading about it, I know that I'm thinking about nature plus what I can do to support it.
Well, when you think as well with the way our climate is changing, we're actually seeing what happens when humanity gets so, so arrogant that it thinks that it can kind of, this, to me, this is the Empress kind of fighting back. This is what happens when you get on the wrong side of her, because, there's an arrogance about us that kind of says that we can just do what we want to the planet and there'll be no consequences. And actually now we're beginning to live through the consequences. And, even if we're aware of that, we've still got to hold our hands up and say, well, we've all bought into it. I think particularly for our generation, because certainly when we were growing up, there was no awareness of the effects of our, fossil fuel usage on the climate. So yeah, she certainly isn't benign. Let me just show you the card that I was talking about.
Yes.
That deck, the one that you've just held up, is a revelation for me, because I know of that deck, but I haven't seen many images from it, and it's beautiful. But it reminded me of this.
Oh, right.
So this is anyone who knows the amazing Ciro Marchetti. This was his second deck, the Tarot of Dreams. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a first edition and a second edition. These were pre-US games. So the imagery on the US Games edition is the same, but his self-published ones had these much more elaborate borders, which I really love. When I saw this to me was one of the most revelatory Empresses I'd seen at the time, and I think it still is, because you can see that she is part human and part tree. She's rooted into the earth, and she's holding a baby. And that says so much to me. It's the power of the earth. It's the, fruitful and reproductive capacity of the earth. Yeah. There's something really wild about this Empress that I love, and something really primal about her. Yeah. And she just when you hold that card up again is that from the This Might Hurt Tarot?
Yes, and I've just put it back. Hang on a moment.
Sorry.
That's all right. Let's see if I can find it again. I think I even shuffled it back in because I do.
Don't worry if you can't find it.
He won't. Oh, there we go. I found it. He won't ask me to put it back. There we go.
There we go. But it just had that similar feel to me.
Yeah.
There is a kind of wildness about her.
Yes.
And the fact that the emphasis is not necessarily on harvest. I mean, you've got some harvest symbols at the bottom here, but it's it's the fact that she's very much of the earth, and dangerous. That's
dangerous. I like that. Dangerous.
Yeah. Because I think there's kind of, for me, there's a danger that we kind of I think, it's easy to see the Empress as a bit cuddly, and
Yes.
I really don't think she is. I think she's kind
Yeah.
of serious.
Hopefully this other elements will come out, because I think you're right. We tend to see her, or I often see her as just, this is projects all working out and happily days and nice sunny days and everything like that. And quite often we forget about the things we've talked about, the darker side of it all. I'm just going to go through a few comments, Chris, actually. Some lovely stuff. Duncan says, interesting comment about the crack in the rock, Chris. Saw one in a meditation the other day, which opened up into a pack of wolves. Oh.
Well, I like that, because actually, I mean, particularly when you look at our Empress here from the Tarot of Dreams, and you think, there's her roots, but you think of the power of those roots.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes when the rocks crack open, lava comes out of them,
Yeah.
And I do like that. It's because when you delve into the earth, you don't know what you're going to find.
I think with me that the Empress card has so many layers, and it's one of those cards I always like to sit with and try not to jump into the interpretation quite straight away. Just let it almost grow into and turn into fruition that way, because there's so much to it.
But when you think there's one and the same archetype presented in two very different ways, but when you start to look at her in the light of her and vice versa, she starts to get very dangerous.
Yes,
because there is a kind of playful aspect to this Empress.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you think, when you put the two together, you think, different aspects of the same character, and they enhance one another. And then all of a sudden, she gets quite unpredictable, because if she's got all of her power, and if she has all of her wild unpredictability, she's rooted one minute, but then she could just sort of erupt out the next minute. And this is where no single card can ever capture the full width and breadth of these archetypes. I mean, when you think about it, in the ether out there, in the sort of the grand realm of the gods, there is an archetypal, there will be an archetypal print for the wholeness of the tarot. Every single artist will never quite
capture it.
They'll only ever capture a fraction of each of those archetypes. And probably if we see the full power of each of these archetypes, we just shrivel in front of them, So that's the challenge for an artist, because you're only ever going to capture a vague shadow of what's really there. So
it's really interesting. Well, I think we could spend hours talking about this card. So
we just
I'm just looking at other people's comments. I'm just laughing at Jackie. Jackie said you could be doppelgangers. People have said that in the past.
Yeah.
If you're not the first person to have said that, Jackie.
Jackie, love, what I want to know is that if we are the long lost love children of whoever, I'd love to know whose love childs whose love children we are. That's a scary thought, isn't it?
I'm just going back to Beth's comment about corporations. The Empress will wise up. And Jonathan, hello, Jonathan. Now, Jonathan is in Maui, and of course, they've had all those horrible, hideous fires over there. And actually talking about what we're talking, Jonathan, it really hits home, I suppose. He's saying human hubris, thinking that humans are above nature instead of part of it. Absolutely. And I hope you're okay, Jonathan, and your friends.
Jonathan, love to you and respect for you, and also respect for your community, because it's all right for us to spout off about it here. You've faced all this firsthand very recently. So sending love and respect.
Amanda G says, wow, such a beautiful representation of the Empress. I'm sure there'll be some more as well coming here. And Sonia says, beautiful cards. Kala says, if nothing else, the Empress will wipe us all out to save the earth as she has. F around and find out. Absolutely. And Duncan says, totally agree with that one there. Mother Nature is all about chaos. Absolutely. Maluta, yeah.
And yet there's patterns in chaos. We kind of see it as chaos, but at the same time, it's only chaos because we haven't got the breadth of vision to see the order in it. And ultimately, it really does go to prove that where the Empress is concerned, Mama knows best.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Duncan says she or the divine universe knows best. And Jackie says, I've just noticed in Empress I'm looking at that she has red nail varnish on, showing her femininity and her sexuality.
Yeah.
Ooh,
empowered woman. To me, that's one of the biggest aspects of the Empress. Real empowered femininity and womanhood.
Yeah.
And, misogynists and patriarchy, approach at your peril because you will get burnt and shriveled. She's got it.
Yeah. Lovely conversations. Duncan says maybe fertility too. And Jonathan says back to being beautiful, Maui. All they need now is some tourists to help the small businesses. Absolutely. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah. Shall we look at some more cards?
Let's do it.
Go for something. I'm going to go for this one. This is the Labanco. Now, anyone that's watched me previously knows this is a bit of an interesting deck. To say it's got a dark side is to do it an injustice, because some of these images are in a very weird way. Having said that, the Empress card is really interesting and
go for it.
Different.
Ooh.
So here she's actually holding a child.
Yeah.
I think she's got the pomegranate. Or there's some, I don't know what they are. There's some fruits there in a basket. Wow. She's holding lilies. But there's a real sense here of motherhood that's coming through with this one.
That's just caught me off guard because that's not what I expected to see. And that's really amazing.
Yeah.
But that's actually just challenged my perceptions of her.
Yeah.
Because there is tenderness there.
Exactly. I'm going to read out what was said. I'm going to put the light on and a bit dark in here. So let's have a look, see if I can read it. I'll hold this up, and this is what I don't know if I haven't read it. So the Empress sits with her child, fruits of plenty at her feet. Her eyes are downcast, her expression relaxed. She knows, turn the page. She knows she sits in a place of comfort and security. Flowers curl around her naturally soothing presence. Beauty, nature, nurturing abundance, connectiveness with creativity and the senses. Survey your abundance and cultivate it. Though she appears as a mother here, the Empress isn't confined to any gender or age. The Empress is both abundance and the power that comes from being someone who can create abundance with their presence.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. Very muted colours. I say muted, they're not the colours I would expect for the Empress.
But you know what? That's just what's just come to me with that, because it's really kind of challenged. It's really repersonalized her for me. But just as I was looking at that, it made me think. I was watching a wildlife program before, and there was some tigers, and it was basically a mother and their cubs. And it kind of made me realize that, even with a tiger will love, care for, and nurture its cubs, but then if the young are threatened, it will lash out.
Yeah.
And it's that. This is what makes the Empress so fascinating, isn't it?
It's another layer, isn't it? I don't want to talk about onions and layers there, because it's much more than that.
Yeah.
Jackie says the runic tarot Empress is gorgeous. It is. We talked about that the other day. Actually, I did showed some cards. I showed all the cards from the runic tarot there. And Jonathan says, I almost got the Labanco, but several unboxing videos realized it wasn't a deck for me. It's an interesting deck. It's And Beth says the Empress is indifferent to human whining and greed. Indifference can be cruel. I love that.
Yeah.
Have you got another card you'd like to show there, Chris?
I've got a really interesting Empress to show you here.
Ooh.
I've been working with a deck that I really didn't expect to take to. Now, anyone who knows me, I'm a traditional boy, and I'm kind of I'm a Waitsmith boy.
You are.
I love my traditional decks. I love decks that adhere to a tradition and also that kind of are respectful to the depth of symbolism. So I'm not good with theme decks. all novelty decks. And I thought this is what this was going to be. I was gifted this deck, and it's the Low Scarabeo Jack-O-Lantern.
Okay.
Now, I thought I was going to hate this. The reason it was gifted to me is because this artist, Giuliano Costa, has also illustrated one of my all-time favorite decks, which is the Mystical Tarot. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I was given this because they said, oh, well, this is that artist you like. You're going to love this. And I thought, oh, no, I'm not. And then I started working with the deck. And this is one of the cleverest decks I've come across in ages. Yeah, it's a kind of All Hallows themed deck, you know, and it's basically themed around the pumpkin lamp, but it holds its theme very loosely. And also, this guy is an artist of real caliber, and he understands tarot symbolism. So he's been able to work that theme in a really clever way, and the Empress really shows it. What I love about this is the way the cycles of life and death are kind of shown here. Now, on one level, she's kind of quite a sort of Marseille Empress in that she's very regal, but you see the crown of stars. Mm-hmm. But also, initially, I thought, oh, there's an eagle on that shield. No, there's not. There's a dead thing with wings on the shield.
Oh, okay.
So you can see, I don't know, will that come into focus? But you can see the skull and the lanterns at her feet. And also, it's quite interesting because there's another lantern here, you know, with, it's interesting because it's like a head. It looks like a dead head, but that's what the stream is flowing out of. And what I love about this card is it links the cycle of life and death very powerfully and shows you that that's what she is, you know, because when you think about it, the Empress might be for us a kind of eternal concept, but life and death are it's all about our transience.
Yes.
And wherever you've got life and fertility, you also have death. And you have decomposition and rotting down, because that ultimately is what leads to new life. And I fell in love with this deck instantly just through cards like this, because I realized this is not just some novelty deck. This is a really powerful statement. Yeah. And he's cleverly used, you know, the pumpkin lantern as a recurring.
Just there. Yeah.
Just there. But he really challenges you. And yet it's a powerful Waite-Smith influence deck.
It's really interesting, actually, because if you hadn't shown me that as the Empress, I might have just from here said it was one of the wand court cards.
Yeah. But as soon as you start to look, you realize that all of the traditional Empress symbolism is there, but it's been slightly twisted and given these very, very clever little twists that reinforces who she is.
Yes.
You know? And I love it. And I love the fact that actually what he's painted here is a very similar landscape to what we see on the Waite-Smith, with the sort of forest in the background and the stream. The fact that the stream is coming out of the mouth of the head.
That's fantastic.
And you think, death begets life, life begets death.
Is that the same artist that did the Pre-Raphaelite?
Yes, it is, because he's done 3 decks for Low Scarabeo. He did the Mystical Tarot, which completely blew my brains out.
Yeah.
The Mystical Tarot is easily my favorite modern tarot deck, alongside Ciro Marchetti's Gilded Tarot Royale. They're my 2 favorites. I would have to say the Mystical probably has the edge for me because it is so... what's the word? I don't know. I mean, it's when you put 2 really great artists together like that, you know, ultimately preferences become subjective. And whenever I get the Gilded Tarot Royale, I just lose myself in it. And but there is something about this guy that I just love the world he creates. So yeah, he did the Pre-Raphaelite and this, and he actually has a new deck out in October, which is a literal reworking of the Waite-Smith.
Really?
I can't remember the title of it, but yeah, do look at Low Scarabeo's catalogue, because this guy's forthcoming Waite-Smith tribute is out in October, and I can't wait for that. Everything this guy has done just captivates me.
Who's the publisher that he's with?
Published, it's Low Scarabeo.
Low Scarabeo. Okay.
This is the Jack-O-Lantern Tarot, and it's actually illustrated by this incredible, gifted Italian artist called Giuliano Costa. I don't care how many decks Lo Scarabeo publish of this guy's. I just want more and more. He is one of my favorite artists.
He's got a great color palette. When I look at his work, I've got the Pre-Raphaelite, and the way he puts colors against other colors is magical. It really is.
And I love when you get real fine artists that are then, co-opted as illustrators, because I love the kind of painterly quality of these cards. I'm a real sucker for cards that look painted, cards that look painted in oils. That's what I love. And this guy just totally fills my brief. He gets all the mysticism and symbolism of what the tarot's about with the skill of one of the Italian masters, as far as I'm concerned. Pre-Raphaelite is equally gorgeous and very, very clever. And again, he doesn't overplay the theme. I think that's why it works. So
Duncan asked, including meanings.
Enough now.
No, that's fine. No, Duncan's asked this including meanings, Chris. I'm not quite sure what he's referring to on that one.
I think what you're referring to is the little white book on this is quite detailed, but for me, I think with this guy, it's his attention to detail, because the cards are riddled with details, and that says to me that he's really his basic understanding of tarot has been really good before he's even come to illustrate these decks. And what I love is that the best decks for me, you step into the cards and you're constantly finding layer upon layer or little hidden details that enhance the meaning of the card. And it's all here with these, So hopefully that's answered your question, if that's what you meant.
Thank you. Peter J. Watts is here and playing with the and Julian here, worn out by the grandkids. Well, just sit back and relax. You'll be okay. Maruta says, I have a copy of the Gilded Royale. I love the Mystic palette.
I don't have the Mystic palette yet, so I've yet to discover that one, because it is a beauty from what I've seen.
Yeah, hang in there, Peter. There we go. Going back to Jonathan, I'm going to be fighting for the right of the Maori Hawaiian people to rebuild the original capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom the way they want, and keep big businesses out of real rebuilding.
You've got my admiration of you doing that.
Yeah,
you really have.
And Duncan says, thank you. Yes, my question was about the meanings and not the artwork. Right. Okay, let's change it something. I've got this one now. This is my favorite tarot deck. One of my favorite.
Hold it back a little bit, because it's very brightly lit.
Not, this is the back, you see. This is the back.
Okay, that's fine.
It's the Tarot of Oneness, and I use it all the time on the lives. It reads like a dream. However, when I got this was the Empress card was possibly, for me, the most disappointing card. It didn't seem. It's beautiful, and I've grown to love it since. But it really was quite unusual, and it took me a little while just to get with it. I'm not always a big fan of having animals in decks, but I can see why this is done, and it is a really lovely image. You've got.
I can appreciate it from an artistic point of view, but I struggle with animal decks in inverted commas. But it is beautiful, though. It's stunningly painted.
And you've got, again, the Venus symbol there. Lots of flowers, butterflies. You've got a ring of flowers. And then this elephant with a baby. Tell
me that because if you were initially disappointed with that card, you're obviously not now. So it's obviously
it's because I absolutely love the deck. And what's interesting is the Emperor card is the same. It was a bit like, I wasn't sure. They were the two cards that I weren't sure about. I'll see if I can find it while I'm talking. I love every other image in this deck, so therefore I'm working with these two to enjoy them. But I tend to go back to old meanings of the Empress when I see this card. I find interpreting elephants quite difficult. I have to be honest. Let's see if I can find the Emperor card. That's not it. It's always the last one.
It really goes to prove, though, doesn't it? I mean, I struggle with a depiction like that, but then that says a lot about the limitations of my vision. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, this is a very different vision from how I would present these archetypes.
Yeah.
But actually, again, that kind of speaks about our limitations as artists. I don't relate to this, but then we have, and that, you know, the meaning is there, and you know, that's when it comes down to taste. But this is the great thing. This is why there's always room for another deck.
Absolutely. You know?
Yeah. Not my take. That does not say anything about its validity. And also, like you said, it does. They're cards that I would benefit from sitting down with and spending a lot of time meditating on, because the artist there has obviously had a very different vision from me.
Yes.
And yet we're interpreting the same archetypes.
Yes. That's what's so interesting. I mean, I would never have thought, you know, the Empress could be represented in a natural elephant way. I mean, not just, you know, if you had an elephant themed deck, I can see that.
How does that speak to you now?
I see the caring side of it all. I've just put it back in the deck again. I see the caring side and the maternal side of it all. Again, I see it. It always reminds me very much of documentaries, particularly that one of the elephant twins. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
No.
And David Attenborough did it, and they followed the elephants, and they were migrating, and it was drought, and they didn't quite know whether the two elephant babies were going to make it. Elephant having twins is very, very rare. They don't often do it. And it kind of got that vibe about it, which takes it slightly back. All the rest of the cards pull me in on that deck, but those two just make me stand back. But that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
And I've had decks like that, and then the funny thing is you can struggle with them for years, and then all of a sudden one day you get the deck out and it's like light bulb moment. Somehow now it connects. And
there we go. Thank you, Beth.
There we go. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense to me now.
You just reminded me, because what was the documentary I was watching? And it was really powerful because it was talking about menopausal elephants, menopausal female elephants. As soon as they turn menopausal, they're recognized by the herd as the matriarch, and if they go into menopause, they assume their position of authority within the herd. And you think, wow, isn't that powerful? You know, particularly in the way, God, our society is quite the opposite. And you know, aging, you know, both for men and women, you're kind of seen as on the shelf. You know, women, I think, get a rougher deal than we do as men. But obviously, with elephants, that's a very different thing. Yeah, elephants make their environment. Yeah,
they make their environment. Yeah. Colour's made a lovely point. I love the way that decks change as time passes and you see more, and that's it is a lovely elephant. And as I said, it was, when I first looked through the deck, it was, that's a bit, I wasn't expecting that. But I'm working it through. Yeah. All hail the beautiful elephant. Joan says, always room for a new deck, Chris Butler. Giving your permission to purchase responsibly and know your limitations.
We were both having a conversation before we went live saying how little we're spending this year. It's kind of strange.
We're trying to be good. I think that's the thing. Using what we've got, Duncan said it's interesting, this documentary, how they interact with each other. And, we're thinking the same thing there. We need global networks, And then Lindsay says, the family structure of the elephants are so amazing, and their memories that go on forever.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Jonathan says, I'm all for letting the women of the world run things. The guys prove that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Wherever you get more women in power, it tends to calm things down. Pointing fingers back at ourselves, but it's like, rooms full of testosterone are not good for making international decisions. We need more matriarchs. Thank you very much.
We do. I totally agree. I'm just flipping through some more cards, more decks. Have you got something else you'd like to show, Chris?
Let's have a look what we got.
What have you got left?
What have I got left? Oh, I'll tell you what. Oh, I know what I've got.
Ooh.
Here's one I like. This is the Tarot of the Old Path.
Oh,
You can still get this. It's in a different box now. Mine's quite an old copy. I think it's got a lovely Queen of Pentacles on the front. But yeah, I thought this is an Empress I love. Now, not radically different from what we've talked about, but I just love this. Is very much a Wiccan deck, and I just love this. You know, it's beautiful. But also, one of the things I love about this deck is that there's a lot of animal and plant symbolism. So there's a lot of herb lore built into it. I've not worked with this deep enough for it to really sink in yet. But again, this is just a beautiful deck where every symbol matters. And you can see this is a breastfeeding mother.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of the traditional symbols, the Venus shield, the stars in the crown, but there's something so earthy and power of earth about this deck that I love. This is the artist for this deck is an amazing lady called Sylvia Gainsford, who also did the Tarot of the Northern Shadows for AGM. But this was a collaboration with a guy called Howard Rodway. And also they had a group, there was a group of 8 Wiccans who were all consultants on this deck. So this is one that I've had this for quite a time, but I've only just started exploring it.
I've had it a few years, and I pick it up and I put it down. It's got a very interesting Fool card.
Oh, yes.
That one. I know we're not talking about the Fool.
No,
a very different take on it.
Yeah, it's actually it's quite a disturbing Fool card, because you can see a baby that's about to burn their hand in a fire. And you know, you've got the Fool setting off on the journey, but it really does show the precariousness and danger of it. But every single one of these cards kind of has a twist to it. It's partially traditional. Some of the cards are renamed, but this is a deck I could just, if you know, you get some cards where the artwork's so beautiful, you think, I wish I could step into that world. And this is one of those decks. I'd love to step into that Empress's realm. You know, there's something so, and what I love about this, when I saw it, it kind of had that, anyone who knows me also knows I'm a big C.S. Lewis freak. I love C.S. Lewis's fiction. So I immediately kind of thought of the Green Lady from the Silver Chair.
Yes.
When I saw this, which, you know, is very quite dark and, you know, a dark character. But again, there is this kind of danger. And I think a lot of these cards, there's a lot of folklore in these cards as well.
Yes.
You know, same as me, Jonathan. I just noticed I love this deck. I don't have the book to go with it yet. I want to get hold of the book, because the more I'm working with this, the more I'm realizing there's a lot.
It is a joy. I like the way that borders mostly cover 3 sides, and then the image fades
and then
out.
it kind of spills out.
Yeah.
And some of the cards, you know, it kind of spills out quite closely to the edges. You know, I love the Tower card in this. It's a really, you know, it's really original. They're all kind of, the images are quite traditional, but with amazing twists to them. So yeah, it's just it's beautiful Empress. She's not cuddly. She's kind of really earthy and nurturing, but she's not cuddly. And you know, I would be quite frightened standing in front of this woman.
I think so. You come across, she's got the, it's a bit Arthurian, it's a bit Lady of the Lake about her, isn't it? I wouldn't particularly want to go rushing up to her.
And I think as well, the fact that there's so much wildlife around her, you know, it's funny because it's not that kind of Disney Snow White thing with all the little things bouncing around.
No.
Any being that actually can win the trust of wildlife like that is dangerous to me, because it says that they have, you know, great power to enthrall, power to tame, you know, power to control, not in a bad way, but that I would feel very hesitant to step in front of that Empress's throne, you know, and that's a good thing.
Now, hang on to that thought for one moment. I'm going to show you one of the cards I've got. And you know this person very well, so...
Oh yes.
Now, bearing in mind what you just talked about with, you know, animals and the pack and things like that, it suddenly struck me that this is almost a modern version of the one you've just done, and I just love that. Unfortunately, the colors, the camera's not picking up the richness. The
camera doesn't do justice to this incredible deck.
So this is the spirit within tarot, Stephen Bright. Oh my God, I love this deck. So
Stephen is the king of the silhouette.
Yeah.
And in graphic design terms, he's the king of elegance, as far as I'm concerned. He does two things really well. He does elegant minimalism, or he does playfulness. And this deck, to me, is the ultimate of his elegant minimalism. And there's so much in it. He can say so much with so little. And as you say, you look at those silhouettes. Are they dogs? Are they wolves? Wow, she is powerful because she's tamed them. And they kind of know who she is.
Yes.
And they know that that's their mother, you know.
And you feel like with a quick word, she would send them off running through the countryside, doing whatever she wanted. Yeah, it's almost like a modern kind of Norse tale. It's almost like one of the Norse gods here, but in a more, I always see these cards as very modern because the chair's modern and the other people that are in the cards are tending to be modern as well.
But there's just reminded me of something else. Go on.
But there's this kind of wonderful calmness about this as well. And it's just beautiful. So that's the Stephen Bright spirit within tarot.
I was saying about C.S. Lewis before, because I cited the Green Lady and the Green Witch in the Silver Chair, but also as well, equally there's a connection to the Green Lady from his novel Paralandra, Voyage to Venus, where that's a must. That was his masterpiece. And you basically have basically there's a guy who is transported by an angel to Venus to witness the temptation of the Venusian Eve. And of course, she is green. We only know her as the Green Lady, but she kind of has that Empress energy because, of course, in a supposedly unfallen world, there is no rift between the animal kingdom and humanity. And the animals have no fear of her, but also they look up to her as their queen.
Yes.
And she very much is that Empress archetype.
Yeah.
But it's not a kind of fluffy Snow White type of thing. It is a very powerful feminine energy thing, and again, that card of Stephen's just reminded me of that. Any woman who can tame wolves, she's got nature in her hand. Powerful.
Duncan says, I've voiced my feelings about the wolf I saw with that card. I like that one there.
Yeah,
having a lovely chat there. Have you got any more images you'd like to show us?
Right, I have got one more interesting one.
Okay.
We're going to have a look at the Empress from this.
Yes, let's see. So the after tarot is what happens after a few seconds after the scenes from the standard RWS have been.
Take your Waitsmith deck and then just scroll forward 10 seconds.
Exactly. They also do a pre one, don't they? Which
I've not got.
Yeah,
I've not got. I must get that. So here's our Empress 10 seconds later.
Right, let me find the Empress out from the original one again. That might help us. Okay, so what we got? We got swans.
We've got swans. We've got swans and cygnets.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of I think it's timely to be looking at this because it kind of reminds me of Stephen's card with the wolves, and you can see the way that she attracts nature to her.
Yes.
And the swan is basically nurturing her cygnets within the folds of the Empress's dress, and she's held up her orb.
She's holding it higher, isn't she? It's almost like liberty there with that.
It is. And it's not that much has happened.
No.
But it's a subtle little detail that it just enhances who she is. And again, I loved it. Just seemed really apt that we were just talking about Stephen's card and also about the Empress in the Tarot of the Old Path. It just that she attracts nature to her,
I
and
like that.
it's kind of the Empress's mother nature. But then I think that's a term that's bandied around again in too clear a way. Mother nature is not benign. She looks after her own, but woe betide anyone who gets on the wrong side of her. And in a funny sort of way, I would feel quite frightened approaching this Empress, because swans, when they are approached, can get quite threatening.
I'd leave well alone.
Yeah. But yet, not huge amounts of difference with the Waitsmith. But I love this deck because it really, again, when they've scripted this deck, they've really thought about the cards that we take for granted as snapshots of living, moving tableau.
Yeah.
And it does kind of make you think, if you came back in 10 years, what would she be doing?
Yes. I like that. Yeah.
What would have happened if we'd have visited her throne 100 years before Pamela Coleman Smith did? And this deck raises all those questions.
Oh, that would make a wonderful live.
Yeah, well, actually, wouldn't it just?
Should we do
that?
Time travel.
Yeah, let's time travel the Waitsmith Major Arcana. That would be a fantastic one.
Wow. Oh, that sounds exciting. I like that.
Yeah, you imagine knocking here. Excuse me, girl. Are you still going to be here in 15 years?
Yeah. Those trees will have gone by that point. They'll have got a bypass over the top of them.
I know.
That's the sad thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What have you got there?
I've got the Spacious Tarot. I just want to show you this one because the Spacious Tarot, I'm not sure if you're aware of the deck. It doesn't have any people in it. It just has images, often of nature or bits and pieces.
Mentioned this deck because I think you just got it when we did a live.
That's right. I don't use this deck as much as I should do. I can never quite find the right time to do it, but I think it would be a lovely deck if you were doing a reading for a group of people. You've gone to a festival or something. I think it's quite gentle. It's nice here, but you can see we've got the a field of wonderful flowers in. It's really summer, and then you've got this bird, which I'm assuming. I'm trying to. I
think that's the eagle off the shield.
I think that's the eagle from the Emperor.
Yeah. Well, the eagle from the Emperor or the Empress, because if you look on the Marseille, they both have sort of emblazoned eagles in different styles on their shield. That's clever. Yeah. Actually, I would never have thought to present her like that. And yet, when you take the person out of the card, these are powerful archetypes. They're kind of omnipresent. They're always there. She's there. You just can't see her. But then you think, well, what kind of environment does she create? And that answers the question, doesn't it?
Again, it's bountiful. It's natural, and that's a very silly word to be using, but there's nothing. Those appear to be a meadow that's been left to do its own thing, and wildlife is, I'm sure if you look close enough there'll be some bees or something in there, but what I like about this deck is that I can really hear the images. I can hear the movement of the flowers and the grass and the buzzing of the bees. This is a lovely deck to use peacefully. And as Gerald said, it draws you in. It really does. Yeah.
It does. That's one of the cleverest depictions I've seen. Yeah. And it loses something on one level, but it doesn't. It really makes you look at the detail. Yeah.
Did you have one more?
Let's have a look what we've got.
What have you got?
What have I got?
You've got this sevenfold.
I've got the sevenfold. Yeah, hang on. Oh, I'll tell you what. You've got the sevenfold there.
I've got the sevenfold.
Right, let me show you the alchemical.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're going to get me.
I prefer the two because we're
Give
both.
me a moment. I'm not prepared.
Okay. So for anyone who knows, this is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the kings of the tarot world, Robert M. Place. If you don't know his work, do seek out one of his decks. He's a very prolific tarot artist. Now, this was his first deck, the Alchemical Tarot. I'm really lucky in that I've got one of these first editions from the 90s.
Gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. Robert Place, to me, is just one of the best tarot artists around. He does these incredibly elegant line drawings, but his knowledge of tarot is just superb. And also he has a deep fascination with the world of alchemy. this is, I love this. This shows mother and child, but again, it's in a very, it's almost like a sort of Garden of Eden setting. It's
It is.
very, you know, it's kind of, this is Eve, but it's not Eve. This is Eve as mother. I see it as, you know, I mean, I don't have the guidebook to go with this. So this is my own interpretation, but this is the sort of power of the feminine principle in the natural world. And you see, you know, well, I think the sort of mother and child image there really resonates for me.
Yeah.
But also she's crowned, you know, you can, this is a queen.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, just, it's a simple, straightforward depiction, but again, it says so much. So have you got the,
I'm desperately trying to find it.
don't worry,
the titles are different, and I'm trying to concentrate at the same time, and the queens all look the same.
In that one, it's called Regina.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting story behind
that. Bear with everyone.
Oh, hang on. Let me just see if I got it. I might have it. Yes, I've got it. Here we go.
Oh, well done. Well done.
So this is a different. There's the alchemical. Here is the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery, which is one of his later decks. And interestingly enough, it was something that I didn't realize until my lodger from when I lived in London in the early 2000s and had lodgers. One of my lodgers was one of my friends from university who was doing a classics PhD. And when he looked at my tarot deck, he said, you do realize that the Empress is a bit of a farce, because he said in basically Greco-Roman culture, they did not recognize the concept of the Empress. They only recognized the concept of the Emperor.
Yeah.
So he kind of taught me something about the tarot that I hadn't realized. And we all know that the High Priestess or the Popess is a subversive card. Yeah. But equally, the Empress is an equally subversive card.
Oh, right.
Because in the days when the tarot was created, the concept of an empress as an authority figure was as heretical as the concept of a female pope, because the bottom line is you are deep in patriarchy.
Yeah.
And you get into later times, once you get into the 18th and 19th century, and in Russian history, and even in our own history, you start seeing queens. Obviously, I mean, the greatest example within our own history is Elizabeth I.
Exactly.
The first of our really powerful queens. But when you think, queens were allowed within our line of succession, but only as a last resort if there was no king.
Yes.
So it really showed me something new about, and Robert Plate recognizes this, because, he recognizes that within that sort of Greco-Roman world, there was no framework for the concept of an empress. So he names this card Regina, but I love this. There's your eagle.
Yeah.
But you've got, I wonder whether this kind of will probably tie this in with, it will probably parallel the Empress with, some of the Greco-Roman goddesses, with their dogs for pets. I love the Venus heart hanging from the tree. And he based a lot of these cards, his inspiration was drawn from pre-Raphaelite paintings.
I was going to say, it's so pre-Raphaelite, and it goes back to almost that pre-Raphaelite when we were talking about your the Jack-o'-lantern tarot. It's got the same colours in there, is it?
Yeah. But then it's kind of pre-Raphaelite imagery through Robert Place's unique filter.
Yeah.
But I love his two takes. They really get you to question you see, of course, there will be alchemical symbolism behind the Empress here, so there'll be some kind of alchemical tie-in and her role within, symbolism within the alchemical process, which is a whole new fascinating story, which I've not even begun to delve into. But then again, he challenges the archetype in the way that my lodger did. And when I look at his card, it makes me realize that, she's subversive.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go, Jonathan. My Aunt Julia has been a friend of Robert's since the 80s.
There we go. She calls him Bob.
Lucky, because this is one of my ambitions. I want to meet this guy at a conference. I haven't been to a conference where he's been yet.
Yeah.
I remember seeing, before I'd created my first deck back in 2002, 2002 I started it, 2003 I finished it. But I remember seeing the images from the Alchemical Tower, and it was out of print by that stage. And I can just remember being blown away by this guy's artwork and thinking, that's what a tarot deck would look like, you know?
For somebody who, I mean, when was the deck made?
1990s, the Alchemical Tarot.
It's incredible. It's just
well ahead of its time. You know?
The artwork in it looks so old.
Yeah.
So old, like it's been around for decades.
The problem is, as an artist, you kind of look and you think, I wish I was as good as he is. You know, because you get certain artists. Ciro Marchetti's one. I mean, he's my benchmark in that whenever I do a deck, I'm always aiming to kind of try and match him. But then again, I always know that he's probably about 10 steps ahead of me in terms of skill and vision. It's the same with Karen and Alex from Baba Studio. You just think, you use them to set your benchmarks, knowing full well that you're never going to get there. And I like them, Ciro Marchetti, Robert Place, and also latterly for me, Giuliano Costa. And you just think, they've got it, you know.
They have it.
Yeah, but Robert Place, he's deeply scholarly as well as incredibly artistic and creative. So whenever you get one of his decks, he will always give you something new that you didn't know was there. Yeah. And then you'll think, how did I miss that? I want to see what that card is, because I'm just having a severe card back envy.
This is the Literary Tarot by I've forgotten who made this.
This is one I don't know.
Bad me. Oh, the book. Look at the book. The book is all blingy and everything as well. It certainly reached its stretch goal. Brink Literacy Project. Ooh. Now, I'm saving this for the last one because the light card might not mean much, but it meant the world to me, and it's what I think of as the perfect Empress card. So each card is based on a book or a character, and it's the Wife of Bath from Chaucer. Now, I don't know what you know about Chaucer, whether you studied it at school or but I studied for A-level English, advanced English, the Wife of Bath Tale. So the Canterbury Tales is a set of medieval. It's about the time of Richard II. Chaucer was writing.
I've got a confession.
Yeah,
we did them in general studies, and I paid no attention whatsoever.
No, well, they're difficult because they're often read in old English, which is really impossible to understand. But it's been translated.
I failed all my A-levels first time round, apart from art and general studies, in which I got an E. And then I went back and redid my A-levels when I was 24, by which stage I did English literature, but we didn't do the Canterbury Tales. Oh. And I kind of wish that we had done. Yeah. So,
well, as I said, I had to bloody well learn some of this, even in old English.
Wow.
I can still remember some of it. I know the start of it is a good wife was there by side of Bath. You see, that's how it all goes. But I love the fact, because in the Canterbury Tales, Chaucer goes on a pilgrimage to Canterbury, and he gets all of the different pilgrims who are on him, like a bit like a holiday, to tell a story. And the Wife of Bath is one of these characters, and she's a woman that really you wouldn't think would sit in a medieval society, but she's large. She's very well turned out. She has got this gap in her teeth, and she's got this real kind of laugh, one of those laughs that could, like a Bette Lynch laugh, if you know what I mean.
Didn't Julie Walters play the Wife of Bath?
Yes, Julie Walters played the
Wife of Bath.
And she's had 5 husbands, and she talks about how she's had 5 husbands. She's killed most of them off in various ways by simply loving them too much. And she likes sex. And do you know what I mean? She's a wonderful, lively, luscious character.
I'll tell you an Olympia Dukakis story. Did you ever see in the early 2000s. It was Joan Sims's last film role. Judi Dench, Joan Sims, Olympia Dukakis, Cleo Lane, June Whitfield. It was a film called Last of the Blonde Bombshells.
I did, yes.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be this woman trying to get her wartime big band back together for her granddaughter's school concert. And of course, one of the band members was played by Olympia Dukakis in old age, and she was this American girl. Because they track her down to this Scottish castle. She's in her 70s. She's become a chronic alcoholic, but she's ensconced in this Scottish castle as a widow. And because it turns out she'd been married 6 times. The last one was a Scottish lord who then died and left her in the castle. And of course, she's drunk at the end of the table at dinner, and she just raises her glass and she says, "My darlings, I married well and frequently."
Yeah, exactly. That sums up this lady, you know. But when she tells her story, it's all about what women actually want from a relationship. And she tells a story about King Arthur's court and somebody going in the search for what women actually want from their marriage. And it's really, really, it's crass, it's hot stuff, some of it, but it's beautiful. And if you know it, and her character is just sums up that kind of
that kind of fits.
It does.
Wild, unpredictable femininity that's completely empowered, has no shame because she doesn't need to have. That's just someone who really knows who she is and is making no apology.
Exactly. She's totally in control. She owns outright everything. She's actually gone on this pilgrimage to try and find her next husband, to be honest with you. That's why she's on it. She's got all the money she needs. You know, she's well fed. She's everything that you don't think of with medieval women. And she has this wonderful warmth to her and this kind of empress quality, I'm going to say it. But I would never, ever have thought, you know, that, but it goes together so well.
That's a parallel though, isn't it? Because again, it really does teach you. We kind of make some projections onto these cards very often without thinking. I mean, this is the Charmin Caselli Empress, you know, but we've kind of immediately we've kind of immediately projected onto her that she's well behaved. You know, we've kind of, you know, she's somehow married to the emperor, but we kind of project onto her that she's faithful, or that they have a monogamous relationship. Hell, who says that she has? The Greek gods didn't.
Exactly.
You know, why should she if she doesn't want to? And actually, that one has really challenged me. You know, in a good way. Because I would never.
That knows what she wants and is going to get it.
And she's a lot more brazen about it than this version.
Yes.
You know. Oh, I love every, you know, there is always room for another deck, because every single artist or tarot writer will bring something out that you just haven't seen before. Well, and sometimes they just completely catch you off guard. That one has.
This is why I love doing these chats and doing this when we look at different cards, is that every single card that we looked at has a similar theme going through it, but there have been every one of them has had a different aspect that we recognize and use and think about, and that's what's so wonderful about this. Whereas I would just put the Empress card down. Oh well, there you go. There's your 3 stock meetings. So it's nice to have that ability and have a variety of decks to tap tap into when it's needed.
It also shows you that I mean, of course, we all have our favorites. You know, I'm a Smith-Waite boy. You know, more than 50% of my readings are done with Smith-Waite, you know, with the Waite-Smith deck. But it does show how much richer you become through working with a variety of decks, you know. And I will just say it before Gerald does, and spending responsibly.
Well, Beth was talking about Chaucer. There we go. And Gerald said, not only do we learn about tarot, we've also learned about Chaucer, the wife of Bath Tale. And was what women want really the search for the Holy Grail? I'm trying to remember what the answer was. I think what they wanted is to be their own person and not be overruled by their husbands. That's what I think the story ends with. If I vaguely remember from 35 years ago.
Funnily enough, I've just been having a conversation on WhatsApp with one of my exes this morning.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's kind of a universal desire, isn't it? I'm single. You know, he's wondering whether he's in the wrong relationship. And we were talking about what we want. And I think a lot of it is just to be heard and to be recognized and to be validated. And unfortunately, patriarchy has seen that women have got that less than men. But it kind of made me realize that when we're looking at the Empress, I mean, this is what makes these cards so universal, because ultimately when we tap into these archetypes, whether we're male, female, or, you know, anywhere else on the spectrum, we're kind of tapping into universal desires, universal principles. And, you know, she says a lot to all of us.
She has got a lot to say, and she has a lot to be, and we need to listen to her, particularly as we've talked about with environmental issues. Yeah. Let's just see what people are saying there. They're saying, talking about the Holy Grail now, better than
just Callum's comment. Cal has just said, oh, where's it gone? The women wanted the men to go to look for the Grail and get out of their hair for a while.
Absolutely.
You tell them, girl. Absolutely. You know?
Yeah. And Beth says, so the quest for the Holy Grail was yesterday what golf is today. Oh, it's brilliant. That's fantastic. I think I've got everyone's comments there. I'm sorry if I missed anyone's comments there. People have been chatting so wonderfully. Sometimes they get missed. So I do apologize if you put something in here and I haven't pulled out. We've had lots going on. Chris, what have you got coming up in the next week or so? Because I know you're doing your series. You've restarted your videos on the tarot, haven't you?
I've restarted my videos on the Healing Light Tarot. Again, they kind of got put on hold because of sort of family issues, bereavement and caring duties. Thankfully, I'm now in a position where I can actually begin to concentrate a little bit more on my YouTube channel again. So the lovely Ken Payne, who I've known for a couple of years ago now, and who I worked with on the Oracle of the Hecatean Path, has agreed to be host on these videos. Wow. And we're basically doing a card-by-card journey through my Healing Light Tarot, which is, you can see here, this is actually the French edition, if you wonder. But this was a deck,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's out. It's published by Lo Scarabeo, but also in a French edition by Edition Tredaniel in collaboration with Lo Scarabeo. I created that deck in 2015, and it was published in 2017. And I got a lot of people messaging me on my YouTube channel saying, "Can you tell us more about your inspiration behind the cards?" So that's what we're doing. We're basically just, you know, taking a chunk of 7 or 8 cards for each video, going through the suits and also through the majors, and
so it's like a video manual really to the deck. Yeah,
just to kind of really to sort of enhance the little book that goes with the deck. I love working with Ken. He's fantastic, and he's got really good depth knowledge of the tarot.
He has. I watched your latest one on the swords, and it was really wonderful and very refreshing to hear people going, I don't like this card very much.
It's really special for me to have Ken in on these, because it was actually Ken bought the Healing Light Tarot, and then as a result of working with the deck, he discovered that we had a mutual friend, and because he'd been working with the deck, he actually approached me through that friend and asked me would I be interested in working with him. And as a result, Ken and I sort of worked together on the Oracle of the Hecatean Path, which I'll let a little teaser out the bag. We have actually got a publishing deal in the pipeline. I can't actually say anything specific yet.
Not allowed to say, but it's
not allowed to say. But hopefully I will be able to say something over the next couple of months about that. So anybody who was wondering, yes, we've not forgotten it. No, it's not got buried, but we can't actually to give you the details yet, so just bear with us. So yeah, I'm loving working with Ken on that. And yeah, I'm also I've got two very exciting projects on the go. One is a project I've completed that is completely under wraps. So keep your eyes out on my channel over the next couple of months, and I will, when I can take the wraps off that, I will do a little video on it on my channel. And also, as I spoke earlier about doing the Tabby conference, the material I presented at the Tabby conference, I'm in the process of expanding that into a book. So yeah, so I'll keep you posted about that. So
will you do the voiceover for the audio book?
Oh God, is Amazon going to want an audio book off me?
We'd want an audio book. Yeah, everyone in chat would like you to read it.
Some old Scouse tart that does the cards. That's really going to go down well as an audio book, isn't it? You know. What about you? What have you got planned for the next couple of weeks?
I think I'm having a bit of a break. I've done a lot of lives this week, which has been absolutely such good fun. I've been with Mark, I've been with Kelly, I've been with Ali today. So I'm back to work next Friday. So my last week of holiday. But next Friday I have the lovely Orshi, our lovely friend from Dragorsi Tarot. We're doing readings and we're just having a catch up. So please come along, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And next Friday, I think it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to put the thumbnail out and the details later this weekend. But yes, and then there's lots of things coming up. I've got collaborations with lots of other people coming and a few other bits and pieces. There's a lot. So every Friday, I think we're busy doing something right into the start of autumn. So lots to do. Thank you, Chris. I'm just going to say thank you, firstly, for sharing. It's always a joy to catch up with you, and it's always a joy to delve into your fabulous knowledge of tarot. And it really is a fantastic knowledge. And I love the fact that you still get excited about it. Look at all the decks. I can't hear you now. You've put your hand over the microphone. You've gone off. Your sound's gone. Don't worry about it. I'll say goodbye to you, Coach. I'll say goodbye to everyone. I'm going to say goodbye to a few people here. You're very welcome, Redwing. Lovely to see you here. Maruta, you're very well. Yes, says Gerald, he'd like an audio book, please. Chris is going to go and fiddle with his cables now. Yes, he is. And Gerald's looking forward to the deck there. Thank you to everyone. Oh, that's nice. Colour said you have a wonderful... you have a great channel, Chris. I'm glad you've got time to do it again. So do please join us again. Join me next Friday. Go and check out Chris's channel if you haven't done so already. And have a great weekend. And thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.